Welcome, everyone. My name is Sarah Ray from the Bloomfield Public Library. Thanks for joining us today. We're excited to learn about avoiding scams while traveling. And we have Kathleen here from the Department of Banking. I'm going to turn it over to you, Kathleen.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. I've presented for the Bloomfield Library in the past, and I'm grateful to be asked to come back again. This topic is pretty timely. I think a lot of people, maybe if you have planned already, that's great. And if you're still planning, like me, still in the stages of now school's over, now thinking about what we want to do in the summer, or maybe even you're thinking about next year, it's never too early to plan for some, especially some major trips. So we developed this. I actually participated with AARP last year. They do a lot of Facebook Live programs. And last year they had, I think it was a similar, like a Friday series. And I said, gosh, this is a great topic. And I started researching it. And really some different and unique scams I heard of, which is making my travel a little bit different. Or I guess to say, I'll be a little more alert to things that I hadn't really thought about before. So let's delve right in. I'm going to share my screen as well. Okay. And Sarah, can I have a thumbs up when you can? Great. Good. So avoiding scams when traveling. So obviously we want to avoid scams all the time. In fact, there's a lot of classic banking scams and things we need to watch out for when answering our phone. You know, the never giving a credit card unless we know who we're talking to on the phone. Emails and texts, same thing. You want to verify. You don't want to just be quick to believe whoever that person or company says they are. Well, it's going to be the same thing when we start talking about travel scams a little bit. Okay, so we're going to go into that in a moment. I did just want to start with this slide. A lot of people ask me what our agency is. Some people think we're the Banking Commission. Some people think we are a bank. So we're a state agency. You've heard of the Department of Motor Vehicles, DMV. You've heard of DOT with the plows and the roads and everything. We're a state agency that many of you maybe wouldn't hear of unless you needed us. The easiest way to think about it is anyone that would handle your money. So if your money is in a bank, particularly a state chartered bank or credit union, we primarily regulate the community banks. If you have your banking with a national bank, such as Webster or Bank of America, they're regulated federally, but that's okay. We still take calls and we direct people where you need to go. But also when it comes to the mortgage industry, mortgage lenders and brokers, if somebody, when you think about it, if somebody's going to handle your mortgage for you and they're going to see all your finances, they should be properly vetted and registered. The same with our securities division, where we regulate investing professionals, financial planners. I kind of like to say, if you're going to have a deck built in your home, you want to make sure that person is properly licensed with that contractor. If you are going to the hairdresser or the barber, that person is properly licensed by the Department of Public Health. Well, think about it. If someone's going to handle your money, they should be properly licensed and regulated, and that's where we come in. We also regulate other types of entities. Some people don't have traditional bank accounts, so they have to cash their check somewhere. So any entity that can cash a check is licensed by us, as well as places where they transmit money, such as Walmart. You can go to Walmart and cash a check, and I think you can wire money there as well. Debt collectors, if someone's collecting on a debt. So we're really a lot more than just banking. Probably should be called the Department of Financial Institutions. But in any case, part of our mission is helping consumers and investors protect your money. So one of the ways is through this outreach program, which I love to be a part of. A lot of what we talk about are frauds and scams. So last year, the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, reported $1.8 billion in losses due to fraud. That's amazing. It's up 30% from 2021. So I don't even want to see what the 2023 figures are going to be. I'm sure they're going to be higher. The highest losses, interestingly, were from investment scams. You know, a lot of money and people that have made investments and their money is lost due to scam artists and imposter scams. And many of the scams we talk about today, if not most of them, are considered to be imposter scams. The classic imposter scam is sort of the government, the IRS. You receive a call or you get an email or text that they claim to be from the IRS. Another imposter scam could be that phone call that you think is your doctor's office, needing to confirm your Medicare card or your health insurance card, or maybe a call from the bank. For whatever reason, for security purposes, they need you to confirm your bank account number, things like that. So we're gonna use that knowledge we know, and we're gonna transfer it here to think about, now let's put ourselves in the mindset of we're looking to travel. We're getting ready to make travel plans. Okay. I guess keeping on with what I was just saying, the reason why these scammers want our information is they want to commit identity theft, right? And this is what we want to avoid. When it comes to travel, we want to enjoy vacation. We all, when it's time for vacation and the suitcases are packed and we're out the door, and we're either in our car or we're on that plane, we just breathe that sigh of relief, and we shouldn't worry, right? We don't want to worry about identity theft. We don't want to worry about somebody trying to get our personal financial information to, in essence, become us. If they have our credit cards, they're spending our credit cards as us. If they receive information such as their social security number, they may try to apply for credit and go and maybe buy a new car or things like that, because then, you know, their credit is checked. It's in, you know, it's in our information. We've got great credit. And now they're walking out the door pretending to be us and spending our money. Okay. So we want to try to do everything we can to avoid this. And with checks and balances and with, you know, really just doing our diligence and research and our homework, we can have a wonderful trip. And then just not worry, and then be on vacation and relax the way we should be. Okay. So I'm going to start out with when we're planning to travel. Okay. There's some scams, some things we want to watch out for. Okay. A lot of people, when they travel, you're looking at vacation homes. You know, maybe you're going to plan a trip to the Cape, right? And you're going to go on some websites. A lot of people use reputable sites such as Airbnb. VRBO is another one. We Need a Vacation. There's a lot of reputable sites that those are the best ways to book, is to go to a site. Maybe you've talked to friends who've had success vacationing, and they've used a site or an app you hadn't heard of, and you can check it out. You find out it's reputable. You go into a browser on your secure home computer, go right to those sites and book, and you can usually feel secure. If your website, if your computer has all the proper updates, if you're using your home Wi-Fi, that's the best way of booking these vacation homes. However, it may be where you're on social media and something pops up. A lot of times I get ads for, you know, Coach purses or Coach bags or clothing, and you're tempted to just go to those sites and make those purchases. But in general, I tell people not to do that. I always say, if you see those great deals, come back to your home computer or your home. When I say computer, I'm going to also include your iPad, or a lot of people, you know, this is your computer, this is your cell phone. And that's fine. I wouldn't do it in, you know, Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks. But if you're home and you're looking at making purchase, I say, go to your browser, open your browser and type in that website. If I see that Coach bag, I'm not going to just click on it through social media. I'm going to go to Coach. And if I don't find that deal, then it probably wasn't legitimate. All right, let's get back in the mindset of traveling. Something pops up on our device. We see this great deal for vacation home. We think, gosh, I've been on Airbnb for a week, or I've been on these reputable vacation sites, and I know where I want to travel. I'm at this destination place, and wow, I can see what like a 3-bedroom is going for, or these certain spots that'll fit my size family, or we're traveling with another family. And now I got this pop-up of this great deal. How could I not use it? Well, just remember, anything that seems too good to be true, it usually is. Just always remember that mantra. So these vacation home scams, you're going to catch this great deal in a high demand location. Let's say you're looking to go in somewhere in Florida, let's say Orlando, or who knows where else, but you've picked this destination and you found these great deals. Well, like I said, be careful if it's a really a lot lower price than these other ones. And I mean significantly lower, because you're going to go on these other sites and, maybe if you wait, the weeks may change and the prices may drop on these legitimate sites. But on these not legitimate sites, you're going to see a pretty significant drop in price. So we say comparison shop, go to these other websites, and you're going to see if this is a lot lower, that's going to be a red flag. Okay. It could be a site that's legitimate looking, but it's really set up to trick people like you. All right. So that's what you want to do. And if it pops up on social media and you have the name of it, go onto your browser and check it out. A lot of times when you Google places, you're going to hear, oh, that's a scam, avoid it. Or they charged me extra fee. Maybe it's legitimate, but they charged extra fees. Be careful of this, watch out. And those things are usually, you wanna listen to those, and you want to stick to reputable sites when checking out renting vacation homes. Okay. There's also price scams. And this can be a classic baking scam, but when it comes to travel, it's just, it can completely ruin your travel plans or what you thought you were getting in terms of, affordability with a vacation. So this is when there's a pop-up. You either get maybe a text message, again, maybe something pops up on social media, or maybe even an email. Could even be a call where somebody, oh, it was a wrong number, but I want to tell you about this great, these great prizes that we've been offering. So what is this company? Why have I been awarded? Why did I receive this text message or this special, this email with this special prize? Like, what have I done to be awarded this too good to be true vacation deal? That's the big red flag, is you never entered any contest. And the key to this is it's not free. You have to make certain payments. Sometimes they're fees, sometimes they're taxes. And the company may make it sound really legitimate, why you need to pay these taxes. And think about it. You just want a $10,000 trip, all expenses paid, your flight, your, let's say it's a cruise, like the picture I have here. Let's say it's an all-inclusive resort and, it's all-inclusive, everything, just some fees, just some handling fees that, to legitimize it, we can't just make these completely free. But a fee of $1,200 or $1,500 or $1,700, that's not a free trip. You are paying for a trip. And frankly, that maybe if you were looking into that similar type of trip, you might be able to get for less. Okay. So, a lot of times there's these references to, and major airlines, and you're going to be using major hotels. And when these are sometimes trips that maybe have some legitimacy to them, well, you get to the airport and you're not flying a major airline. You've got all these additional airline fees because your baggage isn't included. Maybe it was just for 2 people and you've actually got 4. So now you're paying for the others. This major hotel that's supposed to have views of the water, if you didn't do your research and get the address exactly and find out, you're actually blocks and blocks and blocks from the beach. Maybe you can see a little bit out of a window if you stand in a certain way. We've all heard about these scams. You really, really need to be careful with any of these that really sound like such a great deal or too good to be true, or things that you've won. They end up not being free. And if you do go, they don't usually end up being the type of trip that you've expected. Okay. Keep that in mind. I've also, interestingly, on the Federal Trade Commission website, they talk about these scams involving international travel documents. Sometimes people need travel visas, passport services, maybe other kinds of documents. I've even heard about international driver's licenses that you could get. Let's say you're planning a trip and it's several months. In my world, usually the trips are only maybe 10 days, a couple of weeks. But let's say you've been saving up, you're doing this international trip and you're going to be away for several months. So there's a lot of documents that you need to have in place. Well, generally you can go to the United States Department of State and they have documents that are in services that are absolutely free that will help you take care of all of this. But you may land on a site, a copycat site that maybe kind of looks official, but really isn't the United States Department of State website. And they're charging you all these fees for these things. All right. So just keep in mind when it comes to these things and you find yourself paying fees, always do your research and check and see if there are other sources. And when you're going to a government website, you really want to make sure it is the legitimate government website. HTTPS in the corner. It will likely be .us or .gov, one of those. So you really want to check and make sure. I know state websites, our ct.gov. Most states will be, if you're traveling to New Mexico, it'll be nm.gov. So be careful. Be careful with these types of document scams. So to kind of review what I've already covered, a scammer is going to tell you it's a free vacation, but you have to pay a fee. Okay, big red flag. You're not getting specific details about the trip or about the travel offer. Interestingly, and I didn't even mention this before, sometimes they want you to pay for a vacation rental by wire transfer, gift cards, or even cryptocurrency. And I think to myself, wow, if I found this great vacation house that maybe they appear to be renting on their own. They've got their website, they're renting it on their own. Okay, I've called them, they seem legitimate, but now they're asking me to pay by gift cards. Well, they're saying, we don't want you to have to give a credit card. We don't want you to have to worry about that. We want to stay away from that. We found this is the best, cleanest way to, they may seem nice, that may make sense, but you should never pay for vacation rentals that way. Wire transfer and cryptocurrency, run the other way. We've just heard way too many scams of people using crypto ATMs. The ATM itself may be legitimate and owned by a company such as Bitcoin of America, but scammers use them. And once your money is in those machines, your money is gone. Okay. Other things scammers use is quick decisions. They want you to make they don't want you to think about it. They don't want you to start talking about your significant other about it. They want you to just make a quick decision and, purchase this package, this rental. It's all you've been looking for. It's $1,000 less for the week than anything you've looked at. If you don't decide now, I can't promise you the offer is still going to be here if you call back. Not true. It's just a scam, and just hang up, find another website, go the other way. And then also, like I said, they advertise these really premium properties and great locations for cheap prices. And if they are legitimate, they're not what the picture shows, and they're certainly probably not right on the beach or right on the water or downtown in that magnificent city. So be careful. All right, when we talk about pre-travel as well, I wanted to definitely mention when you're packing, things to think about, maybe not necessarily avoiding a scam, but avoiding somebody getting your information, stealing. There's still, downright stealing that takes place. And if you've got things like credit cards, or, if you had a social security card on you and your wallet is in baggage and you've checked it, but it doesn't arrive, or somebody else takes it by mistake off the turnstile or on purpose, certain things you want to make sure to pack smartly. All right. So for instance, keep your wallet or your purse light. Do you have to have everything in that pocketbook? I always go through my wallet. I only take a couple of cards that I need. any other cards, store cards. You probably want to have your insurance cards with you, but do you have to have every dental? Do you have to have, all kinds of extra cards? Maybe think about, not keep your library card even. Does that need to be with you? Travel a little bit lighter. You shouldn't necessarily have to have your checkbook with you, right? All major things should have been paid for in advance. Also, put personal documents in your carry-on that you're going to keep on you, that are going to be in the seat in front of you. Or I hate to even say, if you're going to put carry-ons above you on a plane, I would take out certain things. Keep things really on your person, the really important things. If you're going to have a passport with you, any of your credit cards and wallets, I would not keep in that bin above. You just don't know. In the craziness of people getting up and leaving the plane, especially if it's not above you, especially sometimes you have to put it, several rows behind you or in front of you. So keep in mind the personal documents you have on you. Another great tip is create a list of all of your credit card numbers, certain account numbers, what your credit limits are, and the customer service phone numbers you have. Create that list. Again, keep it very secure, keep it somewhere on you, keep it with you in case anything happened to it. But that way, God forbid, and clearly keep it separate from your cards, because God forbid your wallet does get stolen or lost, you can quickly call those numbers and cancel all those cards before any more damage is done, or any damage. All right, if you're bringing your laptop, how are you going to pack it? Keep it on you. Again, if you have to have it in your in the overhead container, keep your eye on it. Don't let it be near the back of the plane. Or some people even say maybe pack it in like a backpack or something that doesn't look like your classic laptop case that you normally use to keep your laptop in. And then also, some people suggest have an envelope to collect receipts. I take it one step further. Take a picture. When you've got certain receipts, take your cell phone, snap a picture of it, and now you've got it. And then if back from your trip, if you have any, if your credit card company calls you and there's concerns about maybe something was put in twice. Let's say maybe you already had use your credit card at the airport for your baggage, and it was submitted twice or several times. That's extra money that you don't want to be spending, and you want to have that receipt on you to prove, that it was just one baggage. Okay. So these are kind of good tips. Also, I remember my parents teaching me back my first trip when I was younger, call your credit card companies and tell them you're traveling. In fact, I've heard stories from people that didn't do that, and were on Florida getting ready to board a cruise and tried to use a credit card, and it was denied because their credit card company says, well, you never leave Connecticut, and how were we were protecting you. So you want to let them know so that you actually can feel comfortable, and let them know where you're going. Let them know the destinations you'll be at and the dates so that they know that you'll be there. And if you're back after the date and your credit card is used, your credit card company will know, okay, she said she was going to be home on the 20th and it's the 25th, and they're trying to use this credit card in St. John on an island. Okay. The other thing is to have the post office hold your mail. Simple thing, but it keeps bills or things from piling up in your mailbox that it's just tempting for anybody to take and perhaps use your information that way. All right. So I don't see any, I don't think there've been any questions or anything at this point. So now you're traveling. Now you're on your trip. Let's continue to protect ourselves. Now that the planning is all gone and we're, like I said, we've gotten on the plane or we're in our car and we're all relaxed and we're happy, we've arrived at our destination. So certain valuables, documents like your passport, maybe even your laptop, if you're not taking it with you, use the hotel safe. It's a great way to just have that extra form of protection, just in case. Even if you've not elected for the cleaning, sometimes you can elect to only have the cleaning come in every certain number of days. It's still not a bad idea to just keep valuables in a safe place, just have that extra level of protection. If you need to use an ATM, if you're going to be traveling for quite a long time, you don't have a lot of cash on you, but let's say you're more comfortable paying cash for things in certain places than a credit card. We always suggest using the ATMs at banks. Just like at home, we have ATMs in different locations. I don't want to pick on convenience stores, but sometimes their ATMs, aside the fact that they charge fees that your bank won't charge, or even that another bank may not charge as much, you may not feel comfortable in a certain location using a certain credit card. I'm using a certain ATM, automatic teller, to take money out. And I say, if you're traveling, especially if you're in another country, best to just stick with legitimate banking and financial institutions. And they usually have cameras. They're usually just plain safer. Another trick that my parents taught me ages ago: keep your wallet, man. Try to keep it in a front pocket, that back pocket, unless you have a coat that covers it or a sweatshirt. It could just be too easy for somebody, especially if you're in a crowded place, to just take from you. Women with our purses, wear them crossbody. For traveling, many of us use a smaller type of purse than our big bag, than our big handbag. And certainly if you're in a restaurant or somewhere, don't leave it hanging on a chair with just behind you, because you're sitting there and it's behind you. Somebody could just walk right by and take it. Always just, it's just that extra security measure we want to have. Keep it right next to you. Maybe keep it on the floor between your feet. Okay. Protect your cell phone. Our cell phones are in essence our computer. And if we do anything where we use passwords to get into certain apps and things, we want to make sure that phone is protected. Okay. And I say here, don't hand it over to strangers for selfies. I hate to say, it's just, in this day and age, especially for traveling out of the country, you just don't know. And if you're in a crowded place and you hand your phone over, it could just be too easy for somebody to just take off. That extra step of protection, if your cell phone is password protected, sometimes you have to use your thumb or face recognition. Use it all, especially when you're traveling. Accessing bank account information from public computers is a really bad idea. I read somewhere that you can ask your hotel if there's certain places that, like sort of internet cafes, Wi-Fi places that are more reputable than others if you really need to get into Wi-Fi. But be very careful. Turn your public Wi-Fi settings off before you go. A lot of times we have it so that it automatically goes on to public Wi-Fi. But, again, when you're traveling, you're just better off not doing that. You shouldn't have to be doing things like banking. That should all have been taken care of before your vacation. You want to just avoid anything that you've got your password into on any kind of roaming Wi-Fi. Another great tip is to use credit cards instead of debit. I include this because people have asked me this, and I say, well, your debit cards, the money is coming right out of your account. So if there's any chance that your number has been taken by somebody, or if you lose it, if you lose your wallet, and if they use your debit card, it's harder to get that money back. You've got to work with the bank. You've got to prove to them that you didn't make those purchases. Where your credit card, you can immediately call them and cancel the card. Not to say that you can't immediately call your bank and cancel your debit card. You can absolutely do that. But with a credit card, they will immediately reimburse you you won't even be charged those funds. The debit card, it's already come out of your account. So you need to be careful, a little more careful. Okay. That's why when it comes to traveling in particular, we say if you don't need to access an ATM, leave that debit card at home and just use credit cards for the protections. Okay. I also like to mention digital wallets, peer-to-peer payments, things like that. Especially if we're traveling within the United States, state to state, when you're making a peer-to-peer payment, if you're paying somebody in the next town, like in the next cubicle from you or in the next room, or if you're paying someone 10 states away. The peer-to-peer acts the same way, is you are making a payment, from one person to another using your devices. Now, classic tips that I share with everybody: only send money to people you know. And I say double check, triple check, quadruple check who you're sending it to, because once you click the send button, that money is sent. So make sure you know who you're sending it to. You've written down their number, their name, and it's going directly to them. You always want to make sure whatever you're using, if it's your mobile device, your phone, or a computer or iPad, make sure that device is secure and that the software is up to date. Okay, because that's where there could be vulnerabilities, is if your software is not up to date. I have to tell you, in fact, my iPhone, I just received my settings. I had the little notice, so I went in. So I've got to go in tonight and run the software update. I feel like I just did one, but we've got to do them to protect our devices. Don't use public Wi-Fi for financial transactions. I've said that already, and I can't stress it enough. And also, again, watch out for these texts and emails that look like they're from a legitimate source and they're trying to steal your information. You don't want to get conned in to paying, by a peer-to-peer app or anything, thinking you're paying a legitimate source, and it isn't. All right, I have a couple of scams. These are these interesting scams that I had learned about last year, specific to travel. All right, that we all want to keep in mind. You may have heard of these before. You may have read about these. At the time I put this first together a year or so ago, I had not heard of this scam. But I'm not surprised, because scammers will stop at anything, won't stop at anything to try to get us to give up our personal financial information. So this scam is called the hotel front desk scam. You are settled into your hotel. You've traveled all day. Maybe you've flown, went right to a fun destination, like an amusement park or a theme park or something, or a beach, and you've been gone all day. And now you're checking into your hotel. You're going to relax. You're going to maybe order in or just have a nice dinner that night, and you're really happy vacation has started, and you're just, not expecting anything unusual to happen. And your phone rings and they say it's the front desk, and they're telling you the card you checked in with wasn't accepted for some reason. Maybe they're having some software problems on their end, and this has happened to a few other people, but you don't need to come down again. Just give us the credit card number again over the phone. Okay, that's the scam. That's what they do. They get your credit card number, and guess what? They're not, in fact, a hotel employee. They're not the front desk. They're somebody that has gotten a hold of all the internal hotel phone numbers, or maybe they called the front desk and asked to be transferred to a room, and they're calling and pretending to be somebody they're not. An imposter, right? We're going back to this imposter scam. Hang up the phone. If you question that was legitimate, go down to the front desk, go down and ask them. Very likely they are not going to do that and ask for your credit card over the phone. Okay. So this is definitely something to keep in mind. Our guards may be down when we're on vacation. We may get a call similar to this at home, and no, I am never giving my credit card over the phone to somebody, even if they are saying they're calling from a charity, or even if they say they're from my bank. I'm going to hang up the phone. We all know this. We're traveling. Our guard is down. We're not expecting this to be a scam. In fact, I don't remember the last time I was traveling and my hotel phone rang. Usually it doesn't happen. So you're completely thrown off guard. And when they say they're the front desk, why would you think they're not? Well, guess what? From now on, you will never believe it's the front desk, I hope. And whatever they're asking you, you could just say, you know something, I'm going to hang up with you. I'll be right down, and I'll talk to you in person. Okay. Another scam, and I hate to share these scams with you because I don't want us to be worried about traveling. We just need to be on our guard. This one I heard about just made me very sad. Phony room service, where people have gone through hotels and slipped these cards that look legitimate, look like a real room service card under your door, or maybe they might not hang it on the door because likely the people that work there will take them down, but who knows? Scammers, what does a few cents to runoff copies make if they get one or two people in that hotel that day to fall for it? They've made their quota. So what they'll do is make it look legitimate. There'll be a phone number on it. And like I said, maybe it was your first day, or maybe you've had a long day and you're just going to order in. You're going to take advantage of room service. You're going to order in. You're going to have a nice dinner, you and your family, and your order never arrives. This is weird. You call back, the phone isn't answered, or they call and say, hold please, and you got put on hold because you could tell they're busy. And what's going on? And then you never ever get your whatever you've ordered. Likely you've given your credit card to a scammer and they're immediately using it. So when it comes to room service in particular, you won't need to give your credit card because you've given it at the front desk and they usually just charge it to your room. All right. So remember that if this happens, I did read an article about a family that this happened to, and he called that night. So when after a couple of hours and they realized, okay, gosh, they found out that it wasn't really room service. So they called their credit card and said, I want to cancel this. There were already $6,000 in charges on that credit card. Now, again, he has all the credit card protections and didn't lose the money, but what if he used his debit card and you needed your debit card for the rest of your tip? It could be really a huge inconvenience that we just want to try to avoid. So this just made me think also just be leery of any of the takeout. If somebody who was there in the room before you left out all these takeout menus and the cleaning people forgot to throw those away. If you see something you like on there, I always say, verify, check on your phone, go in, find that pizza place or whatever it was and order from there. Do not order just from the takeout flyers. All right. You feeling good? I don't want you to feel too nervous about traveling, but you should feel good that now you're armed to know about these possible scams that could happen. You also need to stay alert once you're home. All right. Post vacation, make sure you check those credit card statements for the credit cards that you've brought with you. Check your bank accounts, make sure, and don't, not just day one, continue checking them for a couple of months. Sometimes scammers wait. They sometimes don't use that card right away. In the case of the room service, they're going to, because if the food never arrives, you're going to follow up and you're going to cancel that card. But sometimes these scammers, maybe if they get a hold of your card, or your information on your card, but you still have the actual card, they could wait. And if you keep checking your statements, in fact, you should always be checking your monthly statements anyways, but just make sure you look for charges that aren't yours. I also suggest checking your credit report. This is something we should check on an annual basis anyways. This picture is a screenshot of annualcreditreport.com, where you can go and you could check your credit report on each of these 3 credit reporting agencies down here in the bottom right: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. All right, so to reiterate, I feel like I've gone through this very quickly, but we'll definitely have time for questions. I have a few more slides here. Remember, avoid these travel scams. Don't sign or pay for a trip or vacation rental unless you know the terms. You want to know all your terms. You want to get copies of the cancellation refund policy, and you want to do your research. I gave that example earlier where they're making promises of one thing and then people show up and it's something else. Double, triple check what they've told you. Try to find other sources, even something like the Better Business Bureau. If you think you won this prize, look into the source, especially if it's something you've never heard of. They say you won this contest. What kind of contest was it? A lot of times we're just so excited, we sort of play on emotions, and we need to do our due diligence. So let's do your research. You can search these companies, check the hotels, these rentals, check the agents, and look up using the word scam, review, complaints. That helps you get to, helps you gather more information. Never again, I'm going to repeat, never pay with a wire transfer, a gift card, or cryptocurrency. It's definitely a sign that it's a scam. All right. And I'll also reiterate, keep your purse light or your wallet. Let your credit card companies know you'll be traveling. Any sensitive information on any lists of things or anything that includes sensitive information, or maybe your wallet with those extra credit cards or things in it, make sure they're in your carry-on. And like I said, not necessarily in the overhead bin. If you need to bring your wallet, your laptop, I mentioned maybe having it in something besides your classic laptop carry-on, but make sure it's password protected and has all the latest security updates. Do all those updates before you leave on your trip anyways, because you don't want to have to be somewhere and have it downloading updates. Again, I'm always leery of the Wi-Fi, so keep that in mind as well. Arrange for the post office to hold your mail. If you have newspaper delivered, stop that. I just mentioned, pay all your bills before traveling. Don't worry about you get a pop-up on your phone. Oh, this bill is paid. Now I have to pay it. Now you're logging into your banking where you weren't expecting to. Okay. Try to avoid all that. Take care of that before your trip. I mentioned here, consider freezing your credit. For some people, it's just that peace of mind. You could do that through that annualcreditreport.com website I showed you. You can still use your credit cards if your credit is frozen. What it does is it freezes any additional credit. So if somebody gets your social security number and tries to access your credit, they can't. So that's kind of a nice peace of mind there. And finally, I was going to have a separate slide for this. I wish I took the time to do it. Don't announce on social media that you're leaving town. Everyone doesn't need to know. Your friends who know you probably know you're traveling. Hopefully your neighbors know you'll be away, just so that they kind of have their eye out for your house and everything. But people that post their selfie from the hotel, from the airport and then from the hotel and saying where they are and how long they're going to be gone. You know what? You could save photos till you come back. And I'm always tell people, but just be very careful about letting people know where you are online. It's just an extra safety and security. And that's it. We have Facebook. We're at facebook.com. We're at CTDOB is our name. You can also check out our website at ct.gov/DOB for more information. Sarah,